Famous crime novelist Harlan Thrombey has committed suicide on the night of his 85th birthday. But following the funeral, a renowned and slightly eccentric private detective, Benoit Blanc, begins investigating the matter. After interviewing the extensive family and inspecting the estate, Blanc believes that the case is not as open and shut as the police think, and he suspects foul play. The whodunit, for all intents and purposes, has pretty much been a dead subgenre in cinema for a while. Replacing it has been an increased number of crime movies and thrillers, with mystery finding its new home on television. The classic style whodunit simply went out of fashion, it looks like. But with his new film Knives Out, Rian Johnson, yes, that one, brings the vintage genre back to the big screen, reminding us why it's so wonderful while simultaneously incorporating fresh ideas to the familiar structure. One thing that's made very apparent with Knives Out is that Johnson loves detective stories. Every facet of the picture is passionately crafted as an homage to this genre, from the snappy dialogue to the lavish set design, right down to Johnson's immaculate direction. You can tell that he's having an absolute ball behind the camera, which makes the viewing experience exponentially more enjoyable. He shoots the film in such a way that his affection for these types of stories really shines through. One example of this is the frequent use of quick montages of the various gaudy objects that adorn the Thrombey mansion as transitions for upcoming scenes. It puts the gorgeous production design front and center in a playful manner. Another is how he makes a character who walks with a cane frightening, through strong sound design and powerful close-ups. Johnson is a kid in a playground, and he's able to effortlessly bring the audience in on the fun. Speaking of fun, this film is a blast. It's jam-packed with wit, humor, and suspense, all thanks to a stellar screenplay, also done by Johnson. The story begins as a swanky take on the familiar formula by introducing us to the principal players and setting up the central mystery. But just when you think this movie's simply ticking boxes, it takes a sharp left turn in the second act to become a Hitchcock-style thriller that'll keep you on the edge of your seat. And it doesn't stop there, because the final act also brings about an abrupt shift in gears that leads into a riveting finale. These transformations serve to keep the audience on their toes and to slightly modernize the whodunit for this era. The cast is another major talking point because, boy is it stacked. Despite what the billing might lead you to believe, Daniel Craig is not the lead for this picture, but rather Ana de Armas is, and she is nothing short of terrific. Her character Marta is the beating heart of this story, and without her enthralling performance, the movie would not function nearly as well. She seriously needs to be in more films. But this isn't to take away from the rest of the cast because everyone is on their A-game. Craig portrays the unconventional and quirky detective Benoit Blanc, and he crushes the role. He dons a hilarious, overly southern accent and brings his character to life with an animated outing. The Thrombey family consists of Jamie Lee Curtis, Don Johnson, Toni Collette, Michael Shannon, Chris Evans, Catherine Langford, Jaden Martell, Ricky Lindholm, Kay Callan, and Christopher Plummer, and though their screen time widely varies, each one is exceptional, with special recognition going to Collette, Plummer, and Don Johnson. Rounding out the cast are Lakeith Stanfield and Noah Segan, the former playing the lead detective on the case, and the latter a police officer who's fanatical about mysteries. Both are great, with Stanfield anchoring Craig's whimsical investigator, and Segan being a sort of audience character. You'll also find that Knives Out offers some political commentary concerning immigration and class. I think the film does a good job of presenting both sides of the spectrum reasonably, without committing to either one, the most obvious moment being a fireplace discussion where things get heated. No pun intended. Marta's being an illegal immigrant working at a rich estate supplies the picture with themes that, once again, intelligently show both sides of the argument. I have only two minor issues with the film. The first is that some of the characters are heavily sidelined and seem almost irrelevant by the end. I understand that the movie's already juggling plenty of personalities, but a few members of the family could have done with a bit more development. The second is that the progression of the mystery is a little too direct. This is a tight script, wonderfully written. but perhaps a little too tight. This leaves no room for red herrings and false trails for the audience to consider while watching the movie. But these are ultimately minuscule nitpicks in an otherwise marvelous feature. Knives Out is clever, hysterical, exciting, and above all, stylish. The entire movie is shot beautifully, inviting the viewer into the ostentatious and elaborate manner. Johnson is so well versed in the detective genre that he's able to follow the formula and deviate from it expertly to produce a unique and memorable experience. There's such a potent sense of delight that permeates through the picture, and it seeps into the audience superbly. This is a sensational film and one of 2019's must-sees. I give Knives Out an A. Thank you so much for watching this review. If you liked the video, then please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel for similar content because that would really help me out. You can also follow me on Twitter at MiamiMovieMan, and if you want to keep up with what I'm watching, then go ahead and look me up on Letterboxd as well. I'm the Miami Movie Man, and I'll see you in the next video.